Welcome to Moscow, Russia, and although Russia's no longer a communist country, in case you didn't realize, that era has had an absolutely permanent effect on the culture. Now, I've been here for quite a while, and I just want to show you what life's like here and some of that kind of footprint, that permanent footprint that communism's had in the country of Russia. The apartments are all made in the same way. So obviously you got your street here, street around, and you have your apartment block on the outside, maybe 3, 4, 5 levels, depends. And as you see, on the other side there, same deal. And then as you enter inside, in the middle of the building is where the action happens. Just quickly, out of all the commie era designs, this is my least favorite. I really hate this brick. Very typical here. So we have the car spaces, we have some park, grassy area, we have some kids' playground, obviously new basketball rings there as well. Everyone gets a good set of windows. So some apartments face the outside, some face the inside, but as you can see, everyone can kind of watch what's happening on the inside here. So you can see 5 levels of apartment there. So even though there's kind of some of that dreary old commie vibes, at least everyone has some garden. Everyone has a playground right there. Your kids can go down there and play. You can watch them from the window there. It's kind of humane. You contrast that now, at least to the city where I'm from in Melbourne, Australia, and you just get cement block after cement block, 30, 40, 50, to some in the CBD now, 100 stories of just friggin' cement. One problem with these apartments is that they're all bloody small. I mean, most of them are kind of 40 square meter, 50 square meter, and even a nuclear family with 2 kids, you got 4 people living in a 50 square meter area. It gets pretty cramped. But the upside of that density is that most blocks will have some shops. A nice little cafe there, little shopping center thing there, like a supermarket, apteka, of course, pharmacy, cake shop, flower shop, all the essentials. Because of that density of the population, it's economically viable to have these on every second or third block, whereas in sprawling Anglo cities, like where I'm from in Melbourne, Australia, as I said, you kind of got this like 100 kilometers that way. It's all flat, and in some situations you might need to drive several kilometers just to find some kind of shop. I'm going to say 2 words to you: Moscow Metro. In case you didn't know, the Moscow Metro system is the absolute shit. I don't remember ever waiting more than 1 or maybe 2 minutes max for a train to come. It has 19 lines and 300 stations, around 450 kilometers, and it's very fast, and as a result, it's very loud. The first line was built back in 1935, so it was a real like commie dream, this ideological battle going on between the US and with Russia, and this was seen as like a big flex, right? So the maximum speed on one of these trains was like 10 or 15 kilometers faster than the New York City subway. And it really covers the city's population really well. I've stayed in maybe 4 or 5 places in Moscow, and I think I've never been more than maybe 7-8 minutes walk from a metro station. So there's really good coverage, really well planned. Even though Moscow has around 13 million people, there's like 10 million daily trips on this system. After having spent time in some second-tier cities like Ekaterinburg and Kazan, where they really have pissy, average and slow metro systems, this is just a pleasure. Comrades, if you're enjoying this content, please click like below so I know that you want more content just like this. So as I say, the metro system's really fast. The problem though is getting in between the stations, in between the platforms. Like, look how long that is, and then up some as well. Some of these take as much as 2.5 minutes just to go up the escalators. Then you might have to walk around, down some escalators, up some stairs to get to another platform if you're changing station. So actually, although the trains are super fast, the whole thing's this kind of weird maze, and it always takes longer than you expect. And of course, an expedition to Russia would not be an expedition to Russia without many spottings of this beautiful car. And of course, this is a Lada, and these were first made in, I think, 1970. They were a joint project between the Soviet Union and Fiat, of course, the famous Italian motor car company. In the last 53 years, the shape and design of the Ladas haven't really changed that much. I mean, the really modern ones now have, but I think they kept one model for almost 40 years, like exactly the same. So they're really pitched at the budget end. They're a worker's vehicle, you know, it's a real Soviet kind of vibe. It's very practical, and although I do get mixed reports on their reliability. Some people are like, oh, it lasts forever. And some people are like, lucky it's simple to operate because then you can fix it every time it breaks down because it's such a piece of shit. So I'm getting different reports. But look, I'm seeing a lot of them around, especially, not so much in Moscow, but especially in like smaller cities. You see them kind of everywhere. So they're still going. And you can just tell by the wear and tear on some of them, the condition. I've seen quite a few with like rusted out panels, and they kind of putty them back together. So you can tell that quite a few of these are the original ones from even the early 1970s. They just keep staying. They keep lasting. It kind of reminds me, ironically, of the communist ideology. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It doesn't matter the poor track record it has, how horrible it is. It still kind of survives. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I think that the Soviet legacy very much lives on in Russia in many, many ways. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least as historians we can look back on what's happening now and see what's around now, and it just gives us that taste, knowing that these buildings around us now, these were built during those times by Soviet employees, planned by Soviet planners. It's all still here, and look, from what people tell me, these are very well made, but also some people say Ladas are very well made, so I'm not sure who to believe, but nonetheless, people consistently say that these are well made and these will last for a very, very long time, so they're going to be here for many, many decades to come.